Hello, today we're talking about beer kits. Now we're fully aware that there's going to be many people that have been gifted a beer kit over the next couple of months. So these are our 5 top tips for brewing a beer kit the best you possibly can. Top tip number 1, cleaning and sanitizing. Now we treat this in 2 different stages. First is the cleaning, then we sanitize. We sanitize with a no rinse sanitizer. It doesn't need rinsing off. Plus, don't forget the nooks and crannies. If it comes apart, take it apart, clean it, then sanitize it. Don't rinse it off. Top tip number 2, water. Now, one of the things about making a beer kit is the recipe has already been crafted. That's already done. But you have in your control the quality of the water you use. At the very least, you need to use sodium metabisulfate, also known as Camden. This takes out the chlorine from your tap water. Alternatively, you can buy bottled water and use this instead. Top tip number 3, yeast. Yeast is that magical ingredient that converts your wort into your beer. The yeast used in your beer kit is a massive consideration. Now, our premium 2-can kits normally contain 12 grams of yeast. If your beer kit only contains 6 grams of yeast, we recommend buying a separate sachet of yeast. Before you add your yeast, it's really important that there's enough oxygen contained within the wort. You can do this by simply thrashing a paddle around in the wort before you add the yeast. Now, importantly, this is the only time we want to add oxygen to the wort or beer at any point in the process. Something else that you, the brewer, can be in control of is how your yeast acts within the wort. To give it its best chance, use some yeast nutrient. 1 package of yeast nutrient will last you multiple brews and will make a huge difference to the final product. The difference between a good final product and a fantastic final product is fermentation temperature. We keep a stable fermentation temperature so it doesn't stress the yeast. This can lead to off flavours in the final product, making you think you have an infected beer. Ideally, you need to ferment your beer at a stable temperature. Kitchens are not so good for this. Living rooms tend to have a more stable temperature. Garages tend to be a little bit too hot in the summer and too cold in the winter. Now, the gold standard is temperature controlled fermentation. This can be achieved very easily and very cheaply. We have a video on it here. Top tip number 4, patience. We know that as soon as you've made that beer kit, you're going to want to be drinking it as soon as possible. Keep your hands off it for as long as you can. We need you to have patience while the beer ferments, and we need you to have patience whilst the beer conditions. During fermentation, the progress needs to be measured. We can't measure fermentation by looking at airlock activity. We need to use a hydrometer. When the wort has given the same reading over 2 days, we know that fermentation is finished. At that point, we then need you to leave it a couple more days. This gives the yeast a chance to clean up the off flavours that are thrown during the fermentation process. Most of you will be bottle conditioning your beer. This is where we need further patience. You need to leave it at room temperature for a week and then cold for a week before serving. Top tip number 5, packaging. Now, all of your hard work can be ruined by making mistakes at the packaging stage. We're going to take the time to correctly bottle condition our beer rather than using a pressure barrel. This will give you a better, more consistent final product, and you can also give it away to some of your friends. Once your beer is fermented, it's very important that no oxygen is added to your beer. This will dull its flavours. We do this by using a device called a bottling stick. Various bottles can be used, from 500ml plastic bottles to glass bottles that you add a crown cap to, or bottles with flip tops. Following our 5 top tips in conjunction with the instructions on your particular beer kit, we guarantee you will make the best product you possibly can. You can be proud of it when you give that beer to your friends. Once you've made a couple of kits and you're happy with the result, why not mix it up a little? Next time you order a kit, add a packet of hops. You can use these as dry hops or use a different yeast. We sell hundreds of different types of yeast that all can give different flavours to your finished beer. The next stage is to start thinking about recipe formulation. Muntons have made this extremely easy with their range of malt extracts. Now these come in a myriad of different flavours, some of which are hopped and some of which are unhopped. This allows you to make any beer style that you like from malt extract. Purchase the malt extract along with your choice of hops and your choice of yeast to create your own bespoke recipes. You can do this using our recipe generator, and when you're ready, and you will be, we're here to take you into the next level of brewing, which is brewing directly from grain.